Recently, I did a video about the quote unquote Nick Fury dilemma. And this was just a fun, thrown together talking head video, kind of like what this one is. Just talking about this topic, which has been brought up in other communities, and I thought it'd be fun to discuss. Not only to get my point of view on things, but also to hear from you all. And the video did a lot better than I thought it was going to, I'll be completely honest. It brought up a lot of good conversation, I think, on the two sides of the issue from the community for the vast majority of people. There's a few outsiders that just decide to attack people instead, which is always disappointing to see. But for the most part, people kept it pretty cordial. There was one issue I had with it where I think there was an oversimplification because of refusing to see another side. And I'm going to put the blame on me for that because I don't think I explained it well enough. So I'm going to kind of just talk about that little issue in a second. Really quick though, do me a huge favor. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. If you didn't know, videos like this are now on podcasts, right? I know a lot of people don't always just want to watch talking head videos on YouTube because the player may not be great for it or whatever it may be. So now if you use Spotify or Apple or Google or whatever, these videos should all be up there for you to listen to now. So I know a lot of people have been downloading it and following it on the videos. I really appreciate that. That stuff really helps out the channels for podcasting. So thank you very much. And then also, we have the newsletter that's gone out weekly. You all have signed up for it. The link to that is down below. Make sure to check it out and sign up if you're interested. It's a really quick, easy newsletter. Just promoting some videos, some blog posts, and some board game deals I find around online for you all. So make sure to sign up down below. So let's say you didn't watch the original video, which is totally fine. Let me give you the very, very short Cliff Notes version of it. There's more to it than this, but it's a very basic idea. Was that Nick Fury came in the core box. He's incredibly strong as an ally. I think it's hard to make the argument that he's not strong. You can argue he's not the strongest, and that's totally cool. But he's definitely a strong ally. In my opinion, he is the strongest. And I don't think any ally since then has really come out and even come close to his quote unquote power levels, right? I think they've used him as a ceiling, which I think is a good thing to do. I think you need a ceiling in general, and that's fine. So the argument comes, well, if he is the best ally, right, does he now become a quote unquote 16th card in your deck, right? Generally speaking, in Marvel Champions, you start with the 15 hero cards and he'd be the 16th. So it would make your deck a little bit smaller. Also, is it bad that someone this powerful exists that basically gets incorporated into the vast majority of decks, or does it not really matter at all? Like, who cares, right? So there's many different ways to look at this. So I don't really have a side on this. Like, I don't really believe like that one side's right or one side's wrong or whatever. It's just me talking about the not, I don't want to say the conundrum, but about Nick Fury in general, right? Just discussing both sides of it. So a lot of people say, well, no, it's fine that he exists because, there's a ceiling now, right? Somebody has to be the strongest. Like there can never not be a strongest hero or ally. I'm sorry. There can never not be a strongest, right? If it wasn't Nick Fury, it would just be somebody else. And in general, in Marvel Champions, allies are probably the strongest cards in the game. It's the cards that most people look for most. And in that video, the previous video, I talked about how the designers of Marvel Champions now are doing a really good job, and I think they're doing more moving forward of kind of trying to make you not use allies as much or not rely on allies for chump blocking or doing massive amounts of card draw or thwarting or whatever it may be. They're trying to restrain that a little bit, which is a good thing, right? It opens up the design space. It makes the game more interesting. It's 100% good. Obviously, the designers have recognized that allies are very, very strong. And they're not, I don't want to say they're fixing it, but they're coming up with more unique ways for the game to be challenging and not just have you rely on allies, right? Okay, so that's argument number one, that, yeah, he's super strong. I'm going to include him in decks. It's fine, whatever. The other side of the argument is, why does it matter? Because just don't include them. Right, just don't put Nick Fury in deck. Why is this even a thing? Just don't put him in there because, and people have a multitude of reasons, right? It's just a co-op game. It's just for fun. It's just whatever. It's not competitive, right? Whatever it may be. I have slight issue with that argument. I'm gonna be completely honest. Now, you can make that argument. I think a lot of people did in the comments of the last video, and okay, right? Like, I respect your argument for that. I think that's totally fine. I think you can have that point of view. I have a slight issue with that argument just because I think it discredits half the gaming community. Let me explain. You see, I think there's two reasons, in my opinion, and feel free to disagree with that in the comments, that people play Marvel Champions. One is for fun, one is to win. Now, those things aren't mutually exclusive, right? You can have fun and win, obviously, but I think there's people out there that just want to have fun. I think there's people out there that just want to win. I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way to play the game. I think it's just important to understand that there's a variety of ways to enjoy the game. And those are two very large groups that encompass a lot of smaller groups, I think. But I think that basically breaks down to those two groups. Unless there's somebody out there who doesn't want to enjoy the game and lose all the time. Maybe that demographic is out there too, and I just don't know about them. But I think generally speaking, the vast majority of players would fall into those two camps. So if you are in the group that just wants to have fun, right? And within that group, I think there's people that just like to experiment with deck building, right? They just want to play with their friends. Who cares about the outcome? They just want to play by themselves and just get off of computer screens. There's people that just want to do thematic decks, right? They care more about theme than anything else. Like as long as it was a cool thematic thing, what's the difference, right? And there's nothing wrong with that side. I totally get that side 100%. I am like that most of the time when live streaming over on twitch.tv/D20 while working for Marvel Champions. I win a good amount, but if I don't win, it's okay, right? I just want to have fun with the community. I want to have fun with the game. I usually experiment a lot on stream. It's not always the most optimized deck because I'm trying different things or chat wants me to try different things, right? I get it. I'm in that camp as well because I want to try something interesting or something thematic, right? Maybe it doesn't make the most sense deck wise, but I want to try something different. Or it's a hero I really love, like Valkyrie, and I say, hey, I really want to try her in protection because I haven't done that in a long time, right? It's not the best way to play Valkyrie for sure, but it's something new and different to try. And I think that's an absolutely fine way to play it. And I think a lot of people do. But I think when the argument comes in there, in that camp of, well, just don't use XYZ card because it's the strongest card, that negates the whole other camp. The whole other camp is people that want to win, right? And then there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with wanting to play a game and to win the game. I think that's kind of the point of the game, right? Is to win the game. That's why we have win loss conditions. If we didn't, it would just be a game that you go through the motions and that's it. And maybe some people would enjoy that. From my understanding, there's certain board games out there now that are like that are pretty popular. So that's fine. But I think to say just don't include Nick Fury because he's a strong card negates that whole other audience that will sit there and say, okay, but I want to win. I want to do well. In order to do well, I have to use the strongest cards. The strongest cards include Nick Fury. And that's really the breakdown. So I think this was a weird disconnect a lot of people were having in the comment section toward one another with this. Again, I don't think there's a right way to play this game. Like I cannot stress that enough. If you're in the camp of you just want to have fun and whatever, like right on. If you're in the camp that no, I want to play standard on every single scenario and I want to win. I think there's nothing wrong with that, right? I think a lot of people treat this game where, oh, well, it's just a co op game. Who cares if you win or lose? Yeah, that's a very healthy mentality to have, and it's totally fine. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to win either. And if you want to win, you will use the best cards that are out there. And this brings us back to the Nick Fury argument in general. That I think a lot of people, the vast majority of people understood both sides of the argument, but there was a slow creeping, I think, minority of people that just did not recognize that how could there possibly be another side that doesn't make any sense. And again, you can hold the argument that well, just don't play with them because you want to, have more fun with something else, but you still like winning, right? Like they're not, I don't want it to be this thing where it's like mutually exclusive because it's not. But I don't think the argument is as simple as, well, just don't play with the card ever, right? Because winning is pointless in the game and you should never have that thought process that winning is even like a thing in this game. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with people wanting to win in board games, right? That makes sense. Even if it's a co-op game, I think it's okay to want to win. For a second, I want to take personal or speak personally about this with novels and myself, right? So we'll play 2-player games and whatever, and I'm more of the relaxed player, and novels really wants to win. And you can watch if you watch her videos where she will really want to win the scenario, right? And she wants to be the one that wins the scenario, like do the final whatever, like knock the villain out or whatever. And that's a totally fine way to play. And I think when you make the argument, well, just make your deck weaker so that you don't use the most powerful cards, well, you're telling people like that they shouldn't optimize their decks to try to win because that's how they enjoy the game, right? That's my only issue with that argument. So, again, I think a big problem with that original video was I did not explain both sides of those camp well enough, or really that much at all. I think I explained a little bit, and I should have hit home harder on that. I think there was a lot of great discussion, and because of that great discussion, it spurred me to kind of create this video as well. Again, just kind of more of a response of like, there are, the way I see it, and maybe somebody else in the comments goes, well, no, like there's a third way, or there's this or that, or whatever it may be. Feel free to write out. That sounds great to me. But I feel like a lot of people are just kind of like almost talking in their silos sometimes, and they forget that the other side exists to the coin. That it's there's no other way to look at it because there's only this one side. And I disagree with that. Again, if you just rather play the game and have fun and you don't want to include the hardest, or I'm sorry, the strongest cards out there, totally fine. It's totally fine way to play. But I don't think there's any sense in saying to the other side that why would you, you know, put in these strong cards, like you should be doing it this way instead. Like it's not an issue at all. And the same with the other side too, right? The other side that says like, why wouldn't you just play the most efficient cards all the time and play with the best decks all the time? Why are you trying to make the deck thematic? Why are you trying to do this? Like that's wrong too. Like I don't want to like take sides or anything. That's wrong as well. Like you can just play the game to have fun and you know, not worry about theme or whatever, right? Like you can just play and enjoy the game for what it is. And you can take the quote unquote winning aspect of it too far, right? I've seen this. I don't want to play sides here on anything. I know I've talked about one side. So with the other side, I've seen that with a lot of people where they just say, like, if you're not playing expert 2, standard 2, and winning, like, are you really playing the game? Well, like, yeah, of course you are, right? Right? Like, there are people who take that approach that, like, winning is everything, and winning is not everything in this game. But anyway, that's just my fun little rant discussion. Hopefully you enjoy these videos and whatnot. Again, I really appreciate the support we've had during the computer time. I'm going to do an update soon, discussing what's going on with that. Hopefully things soon. I got some other news with stuff coming up, so we'll have a vlog video coming out soon. But I really appreciate all the support. Thank you all very much, and I will see you all next time.